Today we're going to explore Surya Namaskar A or Sun Salutation. This is a really nice sequence to kind of start out. I always start my yoga practices with doing at least 3. This short little sequence really warms up the whole body. So I'm going to break it down for you pose by pose, and then we'll go through it a couple times together so you can kind of get a feel for what it's all about. So we'll start at the top of our mats. Bring your feet hip width distance together. So the way to measure hip width, you can keep your feet facing forward and draw one heel in towards the sole of your other foot. And then keep your toes, keep like the pad of your foot where it is, and then draw your heel back. And then you can try the other side, bring it back. Another way to measure would be to bring 2 fists together and bring them in between your feet. So it should be about 2 fists distance between your feet. Make sure that all of your toes are pointing towards the top of your mat. Let's lift up all of our toes and then feel really firmly the connection of all 4 corners of both of your feet. So this is like your foundation. And then you can lower your big toe down and your pinky toe down, and then you can kind of settle down the 3 middle guys. If that didn't make any sense to you, you can ignore that part. Bend your knees just a little bit so you feel a little bit bouncy in your pelvis. Relax your arms to your sides, palms facing forward. Draw your belly button in towards your spine so that your core is really nice and activated. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Then root down evenly your feet into the floor, while at the same time, the crown of your head is reaching up towards the sky. So you're pulling energy from both directions. And then jazz up your fingertips, make them super bright. Bring your shoulders up to your ears, draw them back, and then lower your shoulders down. So there's an expansiveness and openness across the front of your chest. This is Tadasana pose. So even though we're just standing here, there's a lot that goes into this posture. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a deep cleansing breath out of your mouth. And then we'll inhale both arms up to the sky. Fingertips nice and bright, palms facing in towards one another. Again, relax your shoulders down. Keep your belly button hugging in. And then you can stay gazing up at your hands, or if it's hurting your neck, you can gaze forward. So we'll inhale here, reach up really high with your fingertips. And then as you exhale, bring the palms of your hands together. Let your hands guide you as you slowly begin to hinge forward. What's important here is that your spine stays nice and straight, core nice and active. You can keep your knees a little bit bent, and you can see my spine is staying in a straight line until I come all the way down. Then I can round my spine and drop my head. So in forward fold, your hands can be onto your legs. If you are not super flexible in your hamstrings, you can even bring them onto your thighs. Or fingertips can come all the way down to the floor. And then we'll let our spines round, drop the head. And then even though the head is dropped, try not to relax the shoulders. So keep the shoulders drawing away from your ears. And then on your next breath in, engage your core by drawing your belly button into your spine. You're going to lift your chest halfway up. I always like to bring my hands onto my shins because I feel like it gives me more length in my spine. Draw your shoulder blades in towards one another so that your front of your chest is nice and open. Core hugging in. And then you'll notice that the crown of my head is pointing forward. So I'm not kinking my neck and looking up or dropping it and looking down. There's a straight line from the crown of my head all the way down my spine to my tailbone. So this is Ardha Uttanasana. So we'll inhale here. And then as you exhale, again, round your spine, drop your head back to Uttanasana, forward fold. And then place your hands onto the ground. You can bend your knees if you can't reach. Spread your fingers really nice and wide and press down into your knuckle pads. And then step your feet to the back of your mat to come into plank pose or top of a push-up position. So look back, make sure that there's 2 fists in between your feet, they're hip-width distance apart. Your heels are directly above your toes, so your feet are nice and flexed. And then activate your legs super, super strong. Draw your belly button in. And then press your hands into the floor. So this is a tricky one. It requires a lot of strength. You can take this variation, or you can always lower your knees down to the ground. So we'll take an inhale here. And as you breathe in, feel the crown of your head reaching towards the top of your mat. And then as you exhale, engage your core, keep your belly button hugging in, bend your elbows. You're going to keep them hugging in. So my elbows aren't splaying out, they're hugging in to even graze my waist. Keep your shoulder blades reaching away, or your shoulders away from your ears. Lower yourself all the way down with control to your belly. And then untuck your toes. Check out your hands. Make sure that they're in line with your waist. Your wrists should be directly underneath your elbows. And then again, keep your elbows hugging in towards the midline. Draw your shoulder blades back. Toes untucked. Top of the feet pressing down into the floor. And really press down so much so that your knees lift up off the ground. So you're super nice and activated. Your lower body maybe should be burning. So keep all of that strength, and as you breathe in, lift your chest up off the floor to come into Cobra. So in Cobra, it doesn't matter how high you go. What's most important in this position is that your shoulders aren't reaching up to your ears, and that you're using the strength of your back and your core to lift up. So I can easily just press into my hands and lift myself up. That does not really require a lot of strength. So to build strength in your core and your back, try lifting your hands up off of the floor. Keep your hands lifted and lift your chest up. You can find that that's much harder. Maybe you don't go as high, and that's good. You're building so much strength. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, place your hands down exactly where you are, wrists underneath elbows. Tuck your toes under. Press into the floor with your hands to come onto your hands and your knees. And then you'll lift your knees up, lift your hips up, come to downward facing dog. Feet hip width distance apart. If you look at your hands should be in line with your shoulders, and your thumb points should be in one line. And then rotate the crease of your elbows in towards one another so that your shoulders rotate outwards. Keep your belly button hugging in. If you need to, keep your knees pretty bent. And then encourage your chest to reach towards your thighs. And in this pose, it's not super important it's actually not important at all if your heels touch the ground. You can see that my heels are still pretty lifted. What's most important is that your spine stays neutral, and you can do this by pressing into your hands, bending your knees, and reaching your chest towards your thighs. And then remember to drop your head. You can stay gazing at the floor in between your feet. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a deep breath out. And then you can begin to walk your feet to the top of the mat using little tiny baby steps. Come all the way up. And when you get to the top, bring your feet hip width distance apart. Bring your hands onto your legs, draw your shoulder blades back, and lift your chest up halfway to come into Ardha Uttanasana. And then as you exhale, engage your core. Use your core strength to help you fold your torso over your legs and drop your head. And then bring your elbows, I meant to say your hands, onto your hips. Point your elbows up at the sky. And then engage your core, and with a flat back, core engaged, rise all the way up to standing. And then when you get to the top, reach both arms up, take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, bring the palms of your hands together in front of your heart, close your eyes. Inhale through your nose. Take a big breath out of your mouth. Woo! So that's Surya Namaskar A. We're going to do it one more time, this time a little bit faster, and then see if you can kind of get the hang of it. So, check out your feet, make sure they're still hip-width distance apart, feet all the way at the top of the mat. Slightly bend your knees, arms to your sides, palms facing forward. Shoulders relaxed, chest nice and open. As you inhale, reach both arms up high to the sky, relax your shoulders from your ears. And then as you exhale, bring the palms of your hands together, engage your core with a flat back, lower yourself all the way down to forward fold, fingertips sprinkled to the earth, round your spine and drop your head. On your next breath in, lift your torso halfway, bringing the palms of your hands either to the shins or to the floor. And then as you exhale, engage your core, fold your torso over your legs, place your hands to the mat. Spreading your fingers really nice and wide. Step your feet to the back of the mat to come into plank pose. Feet hip-width distance apart, heels directly over your toes. Engage your legs nice and strong. Hug your belly button in towards your spine. And then imagine a straight line from the crown of your head all the way down your back to the backs of your heels. Take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, you can lower your knees or keep them lifted, bend your elbows, and slowly lower yourself to the floor with control. Untuck your toes. Notice that your hands, wrists, are directly underneath your elbows. Press down into the tops of your feet. Use your core strength to lift your chest up off the floor to cobra. Lift your hands up off the floor. And then as you exhale, hands to the floor. Tuck your toes under, press yourself up through hands and knees. Lift your knees, lift your hips, come to downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Big cleansing breath out. This time, step your feet together at the back of your mat, big toes to touch. Rise up high into your tippy toes, gaze forward between your hands. And then bend your knees deeply and hop your feet forward in between your hands. Just go for it. You got it. And then big toes to touch, some space between your heels. Lift your torso halfway up. Draw your shoulder blades back. Engage your core as you exhale and fold over your legs, drop your head. Root down into the four corners of both of your feet. Engage your core nice and strong, and with a flat back, rise all the way up to standing. Fingertips reach up, breathe in. And then as you exhale, hands to your heart center, breathe out. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, woo, let it go. Let's do another one. Big breath in. Big Release your arms to your sides, blink your eyes open. And you just did Surya Namaskar A. Next time we'll do B. How did it go for you? I would love to hear about it. This is a good one to just practice and practice and practice. You'll really build a lot of strength and flexibility with this little sequence, so keep it up.